New Islington is just north of the city centre. It's the first of the East Manchester projects, which extend from the city centre right out to beyond the City of Manchester Stadium. So we're literally about a 10-minute walk from the city centre and Piccadilly station for this point. And New Islington is about the redevelopment of the former Cardroom estate. This was an estate which only ever had about 200 houses in it. It was very low density, sat in a strange sort of topographical dip in the ground, and was suffering from a number of different things, the primary one being antisocial behaviour, which meant that the estate was only about half occupied at the time the project started in 2001. And so the New Islington project's ambition is to regenerate this whole area. So Urban Splash are the lead developer. We have overall responsibility for delivering and seeing that all the developments which come through are of a similar standard. They fit within the overall framework, which was sort of dreamt up by Allsop architects at the beginning of the scheme, and make sure that when these 25 individual plots all slot together to form an overall jigsaw at the end, the kind of jigsaw is the kind of place and the kind of quality and feeling and has the same level of excitement that people wanted it to when we started this great journey back in 2001. One of the first developments which had to be constructed in New Islington was those houses to rehouse the people that used to live on the old estate. So as lead developer, we worked with the other two partners, New East Manchester and the HCA, to look at how we would select architects for that scheme. Now, in these first developments, one was the registered social landlord who was going to deliver and then obviously own and operate the buildings, and the other was the community who were going to be living in them. And so in total 5 different groups all looking at the same plot, all with probably a slightly different view on what they were expecting on that plot. So one way of finding out where all those different diverse partners' common ground is to have a competition. We decided to have a competition organised through the RIBA competition service, which would go out and select an architect for the scheme rather than a scheme. So we went out with a brief which didn't ask for people to come with their design solutions, but instead to come with their attitude to the scheme and how they thought they would tackle it. And we had about 40 entries. The professional team picked from the 40 6 practices, all of whom we would have been happy to work with. And they were quite a diverse group, actually, of both local and national architects, and a completely different range of different architectural styles and sort of attitudes to design. But each, we felt, would bring something unique and special to this area. So we then had an interview day where each of those 6 architectural practices came in, and within that interview day, the local residents who were going to be moving into the houses sat on the interview panel as well. We had a full day interviewing all 6. And then at the end of the day, the professional team left the room and left the local community, the people who were going to be living in the houses, to choose which of those 6 they wanted to work with. And they chose FAT, Fashion Architecture Taste, which was one of the big surprises of the day, actually, because really quite a provocative architect. And we were delighted, really, because it's produced some fantastic houses in this area. So the whole process was very successful, actually. All the stakeholders were happy with the houses that came through. The RSL is happy with the houses that were constructed, and most importantly, the people living in them, the residents, feel they had a strong influence on how they were designed, and they're very happy living here. And these houses have been occupied 5-6 years now. It's the Rochdale Canal. This is the one boundary of New Islington. A bit hard to visualise this at the moment, but behind the hoardings to this side is a new canal which is constructed. The only bit that's missing is the plug, this piece of land between the 2 canals. So later on this year, what we're hoping will happen is that this piece of land will come out, the water will join up together, and a new bridge, which has to do a number of different things, will span over that new canal mouth. So again, we went through the RIBA competition process for this bridge because of its sort of challenges, really. You can see as we stand here that the bridge starts over there at a low level, has to rise to a higher level against Ancoats Urban Village there, and comes down to a level which is neither that one or that one over here. So 3 completely different levels, and we'd sort of looked at it, scratched our head for a while and thought, well, let's throw this out and see what ideas people come back with. And we had a whole load of entries for this competition, actually. Some really good schemes, but Golly for Langston were selected through the competition process to do a bridge, and that's going through. It's got planning now. It's just about to start on the site, so it's coming to fruition now. But what was quite interesting about that process is there's always a bit of an argument as to who the lead designer is on a bridge, whether it's the architect or the engineer. Both parties would argue it's them. And our approach was that we won't dictate who it is. We'll throw out a competition and let's have entries from architects, entries from engineers and entries from designers if needs be. And we did get that. We got some purely from architects, purely from engineers, but also some from a team. And the ones that won Golf for Langston came in with Michael Haddy Associates as part of their team. And hopefully a very successful bridge will come of that process. So again, this was something where we'd use the competition for a slightly different reason here, to find the best solution to really quite a challenging problem. I think that what the RIBA competitions are very good at is the opportunity on a national and international stage. There are people, the whole of the design community looks at the RIBA pages on the website and magazines regularly, so you're quickly getting out to all the people that you want to get out to. And that has been demonstrated in the submissions that we got in, which are much more diverse than we could have possibly dreamt of ourselves. We'd have to be looking for 5 or 6 different people, whereas you're quickly getting out to 40, 50, 60 people with really quite high quality submissions that come back. And that's a great way to move your project on quickly, actually, because you very quickly get to the point that you've realised what the opportunities are on a site or in an area, and you quickly start to get excited about the building. With the new Islington houses like this one and the other schemes that went through the competition process here, the Guest Street scheme, for instance, they both have created really quite iconic buildings for this area, but ones which are quite well recognised through the sort of publicity that they got through the competitions process and beyond, and they're featured in a number of different magazines, not just architectural magazines, but actually all sorts of different sustainability magazines, regeneration magazines, national newspapers. It's amazing how far the message gets out through a competition. And when you're trying to regenerate an area and effectively change people's perceptions of an area, it's great to be able to get a message of something bold and striking and new, those different types of media. The RIBA make the competition process actually very simple. We do occasionally get involved in other competitions. The ones that the RIBA run are actually very low input from ourselves, really. All the sort of hard work, the advertising, the organisation for the day, the facilitator, everything is organised by the RIBA as part of the service, and that does allow the people involved to concentrate on the actual submissions, which is great, actually. It involves all the extra things that you usually have to sort out on a big day and a day when you're delivering people from different train stations and all that sort of stuff. It's very simple. It's very well organised. The advisor, the facilitator who comes that the RIBA put in does a great job of chairing the meeting and so on, and leaves you to look at and discuss the submissions. So all in all, a very simple process. The RIBA have got the framework there to do all that, and the start of the competition process is a little one-to-one interview about what you want to get out of the competition, and then the RIBA competitions team are then very good at turning that into reality. Within their team, a sort of single point of contact is identified very early. I would wholeheartedly recommend the RIBA competition process, yeah. It's very open, clear and auditable. All in all, it's a very good service. We've used RIBA competitions a number of times in the past, and we'll be using them a lot more in the future.